In the quiet corners of history, there exist mysteries that challenge not only our understanding, but also the very limits of human curiosity. Among these enigmas, the Voynich Manuscript stands out as a puzzle unlike any other. Bound in vellum and written in an alphabet no one has been able to decipher, it is a book that has intrigued cryptographers, linguists, and historians for centuries. Its pages are filled with strange plants, unrecognizable astronomical charts, and scenes of human figures in otherworldly rituals, all painted in a delicate hand, suggesting a meticulous and obsessive creation. What makes the Voynich Manuscript so captivating is not just the indecipherable text or the bizarre illustrations. It is the sense that the book is a portal into a mind, culture, or knowledge system completely unknown to us, one that whispers across the centuries but refuses to speak clearly. Some claim it is an elaborate cipher, others a lost language, and still others a fantastical creation meant to confound or entertain. Whatever its origin, the manuscript's allure lies in its mystery, inviting endless speculation, while stubbornly withholding certainty. Each page seems to pulse with life, a strange rhythm of writing and illustration that hints at knowledge just beyond our grasp. The Voynich Manuscript is more than a book. It is a meditation on curiosity, an invitation to explore the boundaries of human knowledge, and a reminder that some mysteries endure because they are meant to challenge, to fascinate, and perhaps to remain unsolved. Section 1. Discovery, Description, and Early History. The Voynich Manuscript, as we know it today, was brought into modern awareness in 1912 by Wilfrid Voynich, a rare book dealer who stumbled upon it in the Villa Mondragone near Rome. But the manuscript itself is far older, carbon dated to the early 15th century, placing it in a Europe alive with artistic and scientific innovation. At approximately 240 vellum pages, though some may be missing, the manuscript is small enough to hold, yet expansive enough to overwhelm, filled with continuous text in an unknown script, and adorned with hundreds of intricate, colored illustrations. Its physical presence is remarkable. The vellum pages are surprisingly well preserved. The ink retains its depth, and the pigments of the illustrations, greens, reds, and blues, remain vivid after centuries. The text itself is written in a flowing script that seems deliberate and methodical, yet entirely unlike any known alphabet or language. Linguists and cryptographers have marveled at its structure, noting patterns that resemble natural language, such as repeated word formations and consistent line lengths, but without any known correlations to known alphabets or grammar. This has sparked countless debates. Is it a complex cipher hiding real knowledge, an invented language, or merely a sophisticated hoax constructed to tantalize and confuse? The manuscript resists classification, and part of its enduring fascination comes from this very defiance of categorization. Accompanying the mysterious script are illustrations that add another layer of intrigue. The manuscript is commonly divided into thematic sections based on these illustrations: botanical, astronomical, biological, cosmological, pharmaceutical, and recipes. The botanical section contains drawings of over 100 plants, many of which cannot be matched to known species, creating an uncanny sense of both familiarity and alienness. Some resemble earthly plants, but include strange details: roots that curl impossibly, leaves with geometric precision, or flowers with improbable arrangements that seem more imaginative than literal. These images suggest a detailed knowledge of plants, or perhaps a symbolic system, but without the ability to decipher the text, their meaning remains elusive. The astronomical and cosmological sections are equally perplexing. Charts of circular diagrams suggest a sophisticated understanding of celestial mechanics or astrology, yet the stars, suns, and moons are often drawn in configurations that defy modern understanding. Some charts appear to depict planetary cycles, while others suggest zodiacal relationships or astrological timing, though no consistent logic can be applied. The manuscript is a blend of the familiar and the enigmatic, where the precision of circles and lines contrasts with the creative liberties taken with the stars themselves. Observers are left with the sense of peering into a universe with rules slightly different from our own. The biological section introduces yet another layer of mystery: drawings of naked human figures, often women, interacting with what appear to be fantastical tubes, pools, or vessels. Many of these illustrations seem to depict rituals or practices, though whether they are medical, magical, or symbolic is impossible to determine. Some speculate that these images relate to alchemical or medicinal practices of the time, while others suggest mystical or esoteric interpretations. The repeated appearance of female figures, often in similar poses, invites questions about the manuscript's intended audience or purpose. Was it a manual of healing, a book of rituals, or an artistic exploration of the human body in relation to nature? The pharmaceutical section includes detailed drawings of roots, leaves, and containers, suggesting knowledge of herbal remedies or compounds. Yet, just as in the botanical section, many of the plants are unidentifiable, their forms fantastical, leaving modern scholars frustrated and intrigued in equal measure. The final section, sometimes referred to as the recipes section, contains short paragraphs, often separated by star-like symbols, suggesting procedural instructions or notes for preparation. Without the ability to read the text, the full meaning remains speculative, yet the consistent structure hints at methodical thought, not random creation. Even the manuscript's history, prior to Voynich's discovery, adds to its enigmatic aura. Some evidence suggests it may have passed through the hands of Emperor Rudolf II, a noted collector of curious and esoteric objects, who is said to have valued it at an extraordinary sum, believing it to be the work of Roger Bacon, the 13th century English philosopher and scientist. Such provenance reinforces the idea that the manuscript was considered rare and valuable, yet its true purpose remained hidden even to those who treasured it. In essence, the Voynich manuscript presents itself as a harmonious blend of art, science, and mystery. Each page invites close observation and contemplation, offering tantalizing glimpses of a knowledge system that remains just beyond human comprehension. It is both deeply human, crafted by hand, with attention to detail and structure, and profoundly alien, defying interpretation and evoking wonder. The manuscript's survival through centuries of neglect, misattribution, and speculation underscores the enduring human fascination with the unknown. It is a puzzle, a work of art, and a historical enigma all at once, capturing the imagination and curiosity of anyone who turns its pages. Section 2. The Unsolvable Cipher. Cryptographers and Modern Analysis. The Voynich Manuscript has long been a siren call to codebreakers, linguists, and cryptographers, drawing some of the sharpest minds of history into a centuries-long quest for understanding. Its indecipherable text has inspired not only fascination, but also frustration, as each generation of researchers attempted and failed to unlock the secrets hidden within its pages. The manuscript's mysterious script, seemingly consistent, yet entirely unrecognizable, presents a unique challenge. It exhibits patterns and repetitions that resemble natural language. Yet every attempt to map it to known alphabets, languages, or ciphers has ended in ambiguity. Early in its modern history, the manuscript was examined by scholars who were primarily motivated by the possibility that it concealed a scientific or alchemical treatise. Wilfred Voynich himself, after acquiring the manuscript in 1912, believed it might be the work of Roger Bacon, the 13th century English polymath, known for his cryptic and often coded writings. Voynich's hope was that the manuscript contained profound knowledge from a time long past, and he spent years attempting to bring it to light, showing it to experts across Europe and North America. The manuscript's allure, however, lay not only in the possibility of secret knowledge, but also in its very resistance to comprehension, a puzzle that seemed to grow more complex the more it was studied. During the mid-20th century, professional cryptographers turned their attention to the manuscript, especially during periods of intense interest in code breaking, such as World War II. American and British code breakers, trained to decipher enemy communications, were intrigued by the manuscript's potential as a historical cipher. They approached it with rigorous statistical methods, analyzing word frequency, letter patterns, and linguistic structures. While they confirmed that the text exhibits characteristics of real language, including word repetition and structured syntax, every attempt to assign a linguistic or phonetic meaning ended in failure. The manuscript stubbornly defied every conventional method of decryption, a testament to either its ingenious construction or its unknowable origin. One of the most famous modern investigations was led by William F. Friedman, a leading American cryptographer, whose work on the Enigma code during World War II established him as one of the foremost code breakers of his era. Friedman and his team spent years attempting to decode the Voynich manuscript, treating it as a potential cipher concealing scientific or alchemical secrets. Despite exhaustive analysis and statistical study, they were unable to find a key. Friedman concluded that the manuscript was either a cipher of unprecedented sophistication or an elaborate hoax. a conclusion that has echoed through cryptographic discussions ever since. The text's statistical structure adds to its mystery. Linguists have noted that the Voynich script contains elements consistent with natural language, such as repeated word forms, line patterns, and even grammar-like structures. Some sections of text, particularly those in the so-called recipes section, exhibit word repetition patterns reminiscent of formulaic instructions, suggesting that the manuscript was not simply random gibberish. Yet the content remains impenetrable. Computer analyses in recent decades have confirmed that the manuscript's text has a level of complexity akin to human language, with statistical distributions that appear too structured to be mere nonsense. These findings have both baffled and enthralled scholars, suggesting that the manuscript is either a sophisticated code, a lost language, or an artistic experiment in linguistic invention. Some modern cryptographers have proposed more radical theories. One hypothesis is that the manuscript represents an invented language, a complete linguistic system constructed by a single author. This idea, known as the constructed language theory, suggests that the manuscript is a form of private communication or intellectual play, where the symbols and words hold meaning known only to the author. Supporters of this theory point to the manuscript's internal consistency, the repetition of certain symbols, and the apparent grammatical structure as evidence that it is a deliberate invention rather than an attempt to conceal information. Other scholars propose that the manuscript might be a form of ciphertext for memory, a tool designed not for outsiders but for the author themselves, perhaps as a mnemonic device or a personal reference work. In this view, the illustrations and symbols act as prompts for knowledge stored mentally, rather than meant to be understood by others. This interpretation aligns with the manuscript's eclectic content, including botanical, astronomical, and anatomical sections, suggesting that it may have been an attempt to compile knowledge in a coded, private way. Advances in digital technology and artificial intelligence have opened new avenues for analysis. Computer algorithms can now scan and compare the manuscript's text against vast databases of historical languages, ciphers, and symbols. Some programs have found correlations with known European languages, while others have identified patterns that might correspond to syllables, phonemes, or even astrological concepts. Yet despite these breakthroughs, the manuscript continues to resist full translation. Every potential clue is counterbalanced by contradictions, and every proposed solution is met with skepticism, as the risk of overinterpretation looms large. Even the illustrations, while suggestive, remain ambiguous. Botanists cannot identify many of the plants depicted, and astronomers struggle to make sense of the circular diagrams. Some suggest that the drawings are symbolic rather than literal, representing concepts, ideas, or imaginative interpretations of the natural world rather than empirical observation. Others argue that the illustrations are deliberately misleading, a visual counterpart to the enigmatic text, further complicating efforts to understand the manuscript's purpose. The enduring fascination with the Voynich Manuscript lies not merely in its undecipherable text, but in the human stories it has inspired. Generations of scholars, enthusiasts, and amateur codebreakers have devoted countless hours attempting to understand it, each drawn by the promise of unveiling a secret preserved across centuries. The manuscript has become a mirror for human curiosity, reflecting our desire to comprehend the unknown, our willingness to wrestle with the impossible, and our delight in the beauty of mystery itself. In the end, the Voynich Manuscript remains a paradox. It is simultaneously familiar and alien, human and unknowable, structured and chaotic. Its pages invite study, meditation, and imagination, offering glimpses of a world that may never be fully understood. Perhaps the true purpose of the manuscript is not to reveal hidden knowledge, but to serve as a testament to the boundless curiosity of the human mind. A reminder that some enigmas exist not to be solved, but to inspire wonder, reflection, and a quiet sense of awe. Section 3, Origins, Authors, and the Purpose Behind the Pages. The Voynich Manuscript, mysterious and beguiling as it is, also carries a deep sense of historical uncertainty about where it came from and who created it. Though the manuscript is currently dated to the early 15th century, around 1404 to 1438, according to radiocarbon analysis of its vellum, its precise origins remain shrouded in mystery. The question of authorship is perhaps one of the most tantalizing aspects of the manuscript. Was it the work of a lone genius, a secretive group of scholars, or a sophisticated hoax designed to fool the curious? Every theory is supported by tantalizing clues, yet each is contradicted by equal evidence to the contrary, leaving the manuscript suspended in historical ambiguity. One of the earliest hypotheses about the manuscript's authorship points to Roger Bacon, the 13th century English polymath. Bacon was known for his extensive studies in alchemy, astronomy, and linguistics, and he wrote texts that were cryptic, coded, and highly sophisticated. When Wilfrid Voynich acquired the manuscript in 1912, he suggested that it might have been one of Bacon's secret works, deliberately encrypted to protect his knowledge. Supporters of this idea argue that Bacon's known interest in secret codes, ciphers, and the creation of private language systems could account for the manuscript's complex script and arcane illustrations. Yet critics note that the manuscript's vellum is dated decades after Bacon's death, creating a chronological mismatch that challenges this theory. Another possibility is that the manuscript was produced in Central Europe, perhaps within the intellectual circles of Italy or Germany, where the Renaissance was beginning to flourish. Analysis of the illustrations, particularly the style of the plants, astronomical charts, and bathing women, suggests that the manuscript might have been influenced by European knowledge of herbs, astrology, and medicine. Some scholars propose that the manuscript was created by an individual working in a monastery or a university-like setting, where access to knowledge and materials was available, yet discretion was necessary. The secretive nature of the text could have been a way to preserve knowledge for select readers, a private compendium for a learned individual or an elite circle. Yet, there are those who argue that the manuscript could be a work of a single eccentric author, someone experimenting with a constructed language and symbolic imagery. The text shows remarkable internal consistency. Specific symbols recur in predictable patterns. Words follow structural rules, and paragraphs adhere to a form of syntax that resembles human language. This has led linguists and cryptographers to consider that the manuscript might represent a fully invented language, designed for personal use or intellectual amusement. In this context, the illustrations could be visual cues, aiding memory or comprehension for the author, while remaining opaque to outsiders. Some theories even stretch into the realm of the fantastical. Over the centuries, people have speculated that the manuscript may have been influenced by alchemical mysticism or esoteric knowledge, blending herbal lore, astrology, and spiritual symbolism into a single codex. In this sense, the manuscript is not just a book, but a ritual artifact, perhaps designed to encode metaphysical knowledge or magical practices. Supporters of this view point to the unusual combination of human figures, elaborate plant drawings, and complex diagrams, suggesting that the manuscript was intended to convey knowledge about the natural and supernatural worlds simultaneously. Whether the text was ever meant to be readable by anyone else remains a question open to interpretation. Modern scholarship has also raised the possibility that the manuscript was intentionally created as a hoax. This idea proposes that an author or group of authors crafted an intricate but ultimately meaningless text to impress or deceive wealthy patrons. The level of detail and the apparent consistency of the script would suggest a painstaking and deliberate effort, possibly meant to resemble a scientific or alchemical work. Proponents of this theory argue that the manuscript's failure to communicate any coherent meaning, despite centuries of scrutiny, points to deliberate obfuscation. Yet, even as a hoax, the manuscript exhibits extraordinary skill and creativity, demonstrating a unique blend of artistry, design, and cryptographic ingenuity. Another fascinating element is the manuscript's botanical illustrations, which continue to puzzle scientists and historians. Many of the plants depicted are unrecognizable, while some appear to be hybrids of multiple species. This has led to speculation that the manuscript could be a product of imaginative herbalism, an attempt to record idealized or symbolic plants rather than empirical observation. These illustrations may have served as mnemonic aids, tools for meditation, or symbolic representations of concepts that were familiar to the manuscript's creator. The fact that the plants do not correspond directly to known species adds to the work's enigmatic aura, suggesting that it occupies a space somewhere between science, art, and imagination. The manuscript's astronomical and cosmological sections add another layer of intrigue. Circular charts, star-like diagrams, and diagrams of the zodiac suggest that the author may have intended to record celestial phenomena, astrological cycles, or cosmological theories. Whether these sections were practical guides, symbolic representations, or coded instructions is unknown. However, they demonstrate a sophisticated understanding of both natural cycles and symbolic representation, revealing the depth of thought and observation that went into the manuscript's creation. Finally, the manuscript's enduring allure is inseparable from its mystery. It is not simply a book to be read. It is an experience, a puzzle that engages the mind, the imagination, and the spirit. Its unknown authorship and obscure purpose invite endless speculation, each theory layering itself upon another, from the practical to the fantastical. Perhaps the true intention of the manuscript was never to be fully understood by anyone but its creator, or perhaps its meaning has been lost to time. Regardless, it continues to captivate scholars, artists, and curious minds alike, a silent testament to human creativity and the enduring power of mystery. In essence, the Voynich Manuscript's origins, authorship, and purpose remain an elegant enigma. Whether it was a serious work of science, a private diary, a constructed language, a mystical tool, or a sophisticated hoax, its pages preserve a profound story: that human curiosity, ingenuity, and imagination have the power to create objects that continue to inspire awe and wonder centuries after their creation. The manuscript is less a book to be solved than a mirror reflecting our own desire to understand the unknown, a quiet invitation to wonder at the complexity and beauty of human invention. Section 4: Decoding Efforts and Cryptographic Mysteries. One of the most fascinating aspects of the Voynich Manuscript is not merely the book itself, but the centuries of human effort dedicated to deciphering its enigmatic script. The manuscript, with its flowing curves, repeating symbols, and uncanny consistency, has inspired some of the world's most brilliant minds in cryptography, linguistics, and historical scholarship. Yet, despite countless attempts, it remains largely unreadable, a testament to both the ingenuity of its creator and the persistence of human curiosity. After Wilfrid Voynich acquired the manuscript in 1912, it quickly captured the imagination of scholars and amateur codebreakers alike. Voynich believed the manuscript to be of medieval origin, perhaps containing the hidden wisdom of Roger Bacon, and he encouraged cryptologists to examine its contents. This invitation set off a wave of study that would continue throughout the 20th and 21st centuries, attracting cryptographers from Britain, the United States, and Europe, each eager to unravel the manuscript's mysteries. The combination of beautifully rendered illustrations and cryptic text created an irresistible allure, offering the tantalizing possibility that centuries-old secrets could be unlocked through careful analysis. One of the earliest systematic attempts to decode the text came in the 1910s and 1920s, when scholars applied the classical methods of frequency analysis used to break simple substitution ciphers. The theory was that, like a coded message, the manuscript might hide real words or phrases beneath its alien-looking symbols. However, early results were disappointing. The manuscript did not behave like any known language or cipher. Its symbols did not correspond to predictable letter frequencies, and common words or patterns were largely absent. This suggested that either the text used an entirely unknown language, a highly sophisticated cipher, or, some speculated, a meaningless pseudo-language created for effect. In the 1930s and 1940s, with the rise of modern cryptography, the manuscript attracted the attention of code breakers who had worked on military ciphers during the First World War. Some believed that, if the Voynich Manuscript were a cipher, it could contain secret knowledge that rivaled wartime codes in complexity. These researchers applied more advanced methods, including statistical analysis and comparative linguistic techniques, attempting to uncover underlying patterns that might reveal syntax or grammar. While some patterns were observed, certain symbols consistently appearing together, others rarely adjacent, the meanings remained elusive. Despite the meticulous study, no one could claim a definitive translation, and the manuscript remained frustratingly opaque. Interest in the manuscript continued to grow mid-century, as American and British cryptographers, many of whom had worked on the code-breaking efforts at Bletchley Park, turned their attention to it. These scholars brought sophisticated analytical tools and a deep understanding of cryptographic principles. Some proposed that the manuscript employed a homophonic cipher, where multiple symbols represented the same letter, increasing complexity. Others speculated that it might be a polyalphabetic cipher, using shifting codes across pages to obscure meaning. Yet after decades of painstaking work, no definitive solution emerged, and the manuscript retained its aura of mystery. The late 20th century saw a new generation of Voynich enthusiasts, including linguists, mathematicians, and computer scientists, applying novel techniques to the puzzle. In particular, researchers examined the text using statistical models from modern computational linguistics. They analyzed symbol distribution, word length patterns, and repeated phrases, comparing them to known languages and writing systems. Surprisingly, the manuscript's patterns bore some resemblance to natural languages, with consistent word structures and entropy measures comparable to known European or Asian texts. This discovery suggested that the text might indeed encode meaningful content, rather than being a meaningless hoax, although the actual meaning remained hidden. The advent of digital technology transformed Voynich research, allowing for more sophisticated analysis. Computer programs could scan pages, track symbol frequencies, and test thousands of hypotheses in a fraction of the time required for manual examination. Digital imaging also revealed details invisible to the naked eye. Subtle corrections, faint annotations, and variations in ink that might indicate multiple hands or revisions. Some researchers proposed that these features might offer clues about the manuscript's creation and its intended audience, hinting at an author who was deeply invested in both secrecy and precision. Despite the enormous effort, a complete translation of the manuscript remains elusive. Several high-profile claims of decipherment have emerged over the years. Some researchers suggested it was written in a lost natural language, while others argued it encoded a constructed language known only to its creator. A few claimed it was an alchemical treatise, a pharmacological guide, or even a spiritual text designed for ritual purposes. Each theory was compelling in its own way, yet none could account for all the manuscript's features, leaving the mystery intact. These repeated attempts highlight the manuscript's complexity, the ingenuity of its design, and the limitations of modern cryptography when faced with a puzzle so deeply human in its origin. The persistence of the Voynich manuscript in capturing attention speaks to something profound about the human desire for knowledge. Unlike ordinary documents, it is not merely a historical artifact. It is a mirror reflecting our curiosity, imagination, and determination to understand. Each attempt to decipher it, successful or not, is a dialogue across centuries between the unknown author and modern readers. The manuscript challenges assumptions about communication, language, and the nature of knowledge itself, reminding us that some mysteries are as much about our own engagement with them as about the facts they contain. Ultimately, the Voynich manuscript stands as a monument to human ingenuity and the allure of the unknown. Scholars and cryptographers have approached it as a puzzle, an artifact, and a historical document, yet it refuses to yield its secrets entirely. In doing so, it transcends its material form, becoming a symbol of the limits of human understanding and the enduring appeal of curiosity. Each page is a portal into a world where knowledge and imagination intertwine, a space where the mind is invited to wander, speculate, and dream. The enduring challenge of the Voynich manuscript, its refusal to submit to conventional understanding, ensures that it will continue to inspire exploration, analysis, and awe for generations to come. It is not merely a book to be read. It is an experience, a labyrinth of symbols and ideas that engages our intellect, imagination, and sense of wonder. And so, for anyone who approaches it, the manuscript is not just a puzzle to solve, but a story to inhabit, a quiet, enigmatic companion through which we glimpse the extraordinary creativity of the human mind. Section 5. Modern Computational Analysis and AI Insights. In the 21st century, the Voynich manuscript has found a new set of interpreters: computers. Digital technology has opened doors that were previously unimaginable, allowing researchers to analyze the manuscript with unprecedented precision and speed. Machine learning algorithms, statistical modeling, and artificial intelligence have been employed to probe its mysteries, providing new insights while raising fresh questions. Unlike earlier generations of scholars who relied on painstaking manual analysis, today's researchers can examine every page, symbol, and pattern with mathematical rigor, uncovering subtleties that human observation alone might miss. One of the earliest modern studies involved a team of linguists and mathematicians who digitized the entire manuscript and conducted frequency analysis using computational tools. They discovered that the text exhibits properties strikingly similar to natural languages. For instance, the manuscript shows consistent word lengths, recurring word patterns, and syntactic regularities that suggest an internal grammar. These findings contradicted earlier claims that the manuscript was a meaningless hoax or an elaborate prank. Instead, the patterns hint at a carefully constructed system of communication. Whether representing a real spoken language, a cipher, or a constructed language devised by its creator, The application of AI brought an even more fascinating layer to the analysis. Researchers began training algorithms to recognize the shapes and sequences of the manuscript's characters, attempting to find correlations with known languages or scripts. Some AI models proposed connections with extinct languages, rare medieval dialects, and even constructed scripts of alchemical or mystical origin. Although no definitive translation emerged, these computational approaches helped narrow down plausible linguistic and symbolic frameworks, highlighting the sophistication of the manuscript's design. By systematically testing millions of hypotheses, AI allowed researchers to explore possibilities far beyond the capacity of human analysis alone. Another breakthrough came from analyzing the manuscript's illustrations using digital image processing. Scholars studied the botanical drawings, astronomical diagrams, and seemingly fantastical figures in detail, comparing them to historical records and known scientific knowledge of the era. Computational analysis revealed patterns linking certain plant drawings to real-world flora, though sometimes depicted with impossible features. Similarly, zodiac diagrams appeared consistent with medieval astronomical observations, yet often incorporated imaginative elements that defy easy interpretation. These analyses suggested that the manuscript might not only encode linguistic information, but also a complex system of symbolic knowledge, botanical, astronomical, and possibly mystical, layered within its pages. AI has also contributed to the statistical modeling of the manuscript's text. Researchers examined entropy measures, a concept borrowed from information theory, to determine how much predictability exists within the sequence of characters. The results were intriguing. The text exhibits a level of predictability similar to natural languages, but with anomalies that suggest an unknown encoding method. This balance of order and irregularity has puzzled scholars, indicating that the manuscript might use a sophisticated cipher, a constructed language, or an encoding system that combines linguistic elements with symbolic representation. In essence, the text appears intentionally designed to be readable to some, yet opaque to most, a mystery carefully engineered by its author. Some computational linguists have applied machine translation techniques to the manuscript, attempting to map its characters to phonetic sounds or known words. While full decipherment remains elusive, these experiments yielded partial success in identifying recurring words or phrases that could represent specific concepts, such as plant names, astronomical terms, or ritual instructions. This suggests that the manuscript, even if constructed, may follow a logical internal system that can eventually be decoded with sufficient computational power and algorithmic sophistication. The advent of AI-driven natural language processing has also prompted researchers to reconsider earlier hypotheses about the manuscript's origin. Could it have been created by a single individual, a secret society, or a collective of scholars sharing specialized knowledge? Computational studies examining handwriting patterns, ink density, and symbol variation suggest a single author may have been responsible, working meticulously over months or years. The consistency of symbols and recurring patterns points to deliberate design, reinforcing the notion that the manuscript is a coherent work rather than a collection of random scribbles. Yet its true purpose, scientific, mystical, artistic, or hoax, remains tantalizingly out of reach. Modern interpretations also explore psychological and cognitive dimensions. Some researchers propose that the manuscript's design reflects a form of early human information encoding, blending visual and linguistic systems to convey knowledge across time. Others suggest that the manuscript served as a meditative or ritualistic tool, where the act of reading and interpreting became as significant as the content itself. In this sense, the manuscript may represent not only a message, but an experience, a carefully crafted interaction between author and reader across centuries. One of the most striking implications of modern computational analysis is the realization that the Voynich Manuscript continues to challenge our understanding of communication. It is a reminder that human ingenuity, both ancient and modern, can produce systems of information that resist immediate comprehension. In a sense, the manuscript embodies a dialogue between eras, a 15th century creator encoding knowledge in ways that still engage 21st century technology and intellect. Each computational experiment, whether it leads to a partial decoding or a new pattern recognition, adds a layer to our understanding, deepening the sense of wonder and intrigue. Despite these advances, the Voynich manuscript remains unsolved, a silent testament to its creator's ingenuity. Yet, modern computational methods have brought us closer than ever to understanding its structure, patterns, and possible meaning. The combination of AI, statistical analysis, and digital imaging has transformed the manuscript from a historical curiosity into an active puzzle at the frontier of linguistics, cryptography, and computer science. Scholars now approach it not merely as a document to be read, but as a multidimensional artifact to be analyzed, interpreted, and experienced. In the end, the Voynich manuscript represents the convergence of human creativity, mystery, and modern technology. It challenges us to think about language, knowledge, and the ways in which humans encode information. Each new analysis, whether manual or computational, invites us to marvel at the ingenuity required to create a book that continues to defy understanding centuries later. And as researchers continue to probe its secrets with ever more sophisticated tools, the manuscript stands as a reminder that some mysteries are designed to endure, beckoning us to explore, imagine, and question in equal measure. Section 6. The Mysterious Journey Through History. The history of the Voynich manuscript is as enigmatic as its contents. Beyond the cryptic text and puzzling illustrations lies a story of ownership and movement that reads like a treasure map of the intellectual and mystical elites of Europe. Every page not only carries symbols and diagrams, but also whispers of the hands that have held it, the libraries that have housed it, and the scholars who have puzzled over it across centuries. Understanding this provenance is key to appreciating the manuscript, not just as an artifact, but as a living historical mystery, woven into the cultural and intellectual currents of its time. The earliest known reference to the manuscript appears in the early 17th century. In 1600s Europe, a scholarly community fascinated with alchemy, astrology, and hidden knowledge was thriving. Within this context, the manuscript came into the possession of Emperor Rudolf II of the Holy Roman Empire, who ruled from Prague. Rudolf II, known for his obsession with esoteric objects, rare books, and occult curiosities, reportedly purchased the manuscript for a staggering sum. He believed that it might hold secrets of natural philosophy, perhaps a lost alchemical formula or a compendium of mystical knowledge. His acquisition firmly positioned the manuscript within the sphere of European elites who valued enigmatic knowledge, and its association with Rudolf II cemented its reputation as a document of extraordinary and perhaps magical importance. After Rudolf II, the manuscript's trail becomes both tantalizing and obscure. Records suggest that it was passed through the hands of Jesuit scholars in Europe, possibly in Italy, where it may have been studied or simply preserved within cloisters and libraries devoted to rare texts. The Jesuits, known for their intellectual rigor and curiosity about natural philosophy, would have recognized the manuscript as a significant work, though its meaning remained inaccessible even to them. Here, the manuscript seems to straddle the boundary between science and mysticism, a unique artifact whose purpose may have been more symbolic than practical, an object of fascination in a world that revered secrecy and knowledge. The 19th and early 20th centuries saw the manuscript resurface in intriguing ways. It became associated with a shadowy collector and antiquarian community that prized unusual manuscripts for their rarity and potential intellectual significance. At one point, it was acquired by Wilfrid Voynich, a Polish-American bookseller and manuscript collector, after whom the manuscript is now named. Voynich's acquisition in 1912 marked the beginning of its modern journey into the hands of scholars, cryptographers, and enthusiasts. His discovery reignited international interest, particularly among those who believed that the manuscript could be a key to a lost language, a secret code, or even hidden knowledge preserved from the distant past. Voynich's own writings reveal his belief that the manuscript could be connected to Roger Bacon, the medieval English philosopher and scientist, though this attribution has never been definitively proven. Throughout the 20th century, the manuscript continued to travel across continents and academic disciplines. It passed through the hands of private collectors, libraries, and institutions, each custodian adding to the story of its mysterious journey. During World War II, concerns about its safety led to careful preservation, with scholars recognizing that the manuscript was not only historically significant, but also extraordinarily fragile. Its vellum pages, decorated with pigments that have endured centuries, have resisted time better than many other manuscripts from the same era. However, every handling and transfer inevitably left traces, whether in marginal notes, library stamps, or subtle wear on the pages, each mark contributing to the manuscript's story of survival and intrigue. One fascinating aspect of the manuscript's historical journey is its apparent lack of widespread recognition for much of its existence. Despite passing through prominent hands, it remained obscure compared to other medieval works. This obscurity may have been deliberate, as the manuscript's complex and cryptic nature could have discouraged general readership. Alternatively, it could have been a result of historical circumstances, wars, the fall of empires, and the dispersal of private libraries may have hidden it from public view. Yet, this invisibility adds to its mystique, suggesting that it was always a work intended for select eyes, a secret treasure of knowledge meant to be preserved rather than broadly understood. Scholars have also examined the manuscript for hidden clues about its origin and ownership through detailed analysis of its pages. Watermarks, vellum quality, and ink composition have been studied to trace where and when it might have been created. These analyses indicate a European origin, likely in the 15th century, consistent with the broader intellectual trends of the time. The precision and uniformity of the handwriting, combined with the intricate illustrations, suggest a highly skilled scribe, possibly working in a court or monastic setting. Yet, the exact identity of the creator remains unknown. Some have speculated that the manuscript's author may have intentionally disguised the text and imagery to obscure its true meaning, further complicating the puzzle for future generations. Interestingly, the manuscript's journey has also intertwined with cultural movements and theories of historical secrecy. In the 20th century, its cryptic nature attracted the attention of conspiracy theorists and enthusiasts of hidden knowledge, further embedding it within a narrative of mystery. Its ties to figures like Rudolph II and its potential connections to alchemy and astrology fed into the idea that it might encode not only practical knowledge, but also esoteric truths that have been deliberately obscured. This cultural layer has enhanced the manuscript's allure, positioning it not just as a historical document, but as a symbol of the human fascination with secrets, forbidden knowledge, and the unknown. The manuscript's historical journey underscores a central paradox. While it has moved through some of the most intellectually sophisticated circles in European history, it has resisted comprehension at every step. Each owner, from emperors to scholars, encountered its mysteries without fully unlocking them. In this sense, the manuscript is not merely a text, but a living artifact of curiosity, resilience, and human imagination. It embodies the interplay between knowledge and secrecy, the desire to uncover hidden truths, and the enduring power of enigmas that defy straightforward interpretation. Today, the Voynich Manuscript resides in a secure library collection, preserved under conditions that ensure its longevity. Yet, the story of its journey through history remains as captivating as the manuscript itself. Each page bears witness to centuries of human interaction. From the careful hands of medieval scribes to the curious touch of modern scholars, it stands as a testament to human curiosity, ingenuity, and the enduring allure of secrets. The journey of the manuscript through time reflects both the intellectual fervor of past eras and the persistent mystery that continues to captivate contemporary researchers. Section 7. Modern efforts to decipher the enigma. The Voynich Manuscript, long shrouded in mystery, entered a new phase of scrutiny in the 20th and 21st centuries as scholars, linguists, and cryptographers sought to decode its cryptic script and illustrations. While its early history involved emperors, Jesuits, and rare book collectors, the modern era brought scientific techniques, computational analysis, and collaborative international research. Despite decades of effort, the manuscript continues to defy complete understanding, its secrets tantalizingly out of reach. Yet each study, Each technological advance reveals fragments of insight, offering glimpses into the mind that produced this singular work. One of the first significant attempts to analyze the manuscript systematically came in the 1920s, shortly after Wilfred Voynich made it publicly known. Scholars in Europe and North America, intrigued by its mysterious text and botanical illustrations, tried to apply traditional linguistic analysis, comparing its script to known alphabets and cipher systems. These early efforts, however, often reached dead ends. The Voynich text did not match any known language, nor did it conform to common substitution ciphers or encryption methods of the medieval period. This initial failure only deepened the intrigue, suggesting that the manuscript might not just be encrypted, but could represent an entirely unique linguistic or symbolic system. The mid-20th century saw renewed interest, especially among professional cryptographers during World War II. With the Allied and Axis powers heavily invested in code breaking, some experts examined the manuscript for patterns that might indicate a sophisticated encryption scheme. Despite their expertise, these attempts were largely inconclusive. Certain letter frequencies and recurring patterns hinted at a structured language, but the manuscript symbols resisted standard analytical frameworks. The work of these cryptographers, however, laid important groundwork, demonstrating that the text was not random gibberish and merited serious study. In the later 20th century, the Voynich manuscript attracted a broader range of specialists, from botanists and astronomers to art historians. Botanists attempted to match the manuscript's plant illustrations with real-world species, hoping to pinpoint geographical and temporal origins. Astronomers examined star charts and zodiac diagrams, speculating that the manuscript might encode astronomical observations or predictive systems. Art historians studied the style of illustrations and pigment composition, confirming a likely 15th century European origin. Each study offered new perspectives, yet none yielded a definitive reading of the text itself. Instead, they reinforced the manuscript's status as a complex and multifaceted artifact, blending linguistic, scientific, and artistic dimensions. The advent of digital technology dramatically expanded the analytical possibilities. High-resolution imaging allowed scholars to study minute details in the ink, parchment, and illustrations. Multispectral imaging revealed underdrawings, faded corrections, and layering of pigments that were invisible to the naked eye. This technology helped confirm the manuscript's authenticity, showing it to be a genuine medieval artifact rather than a modern forgery, and provided insights into the techniques of its unknown scribe. At the same time, digital transcription of the text enabled computational linguists to apply algorithms, statistical models, and artificial intelligence to search for patterns, syntax, or linguistic structures that might hint at meaning. Computer-based analyses have produced some intriguing results. Statistical tests reveal that the text exhibits patterns consistent with natural languages, including word frequency distributions and contextual dependencies, suggesting that the manuscript is not a meaningless hoax. Some researchers propose that it could be an example of a constructed language, intentionally created to encode knowledge in a symbolic system. Others speculate that it represents a lost natural language, one that has disappeared from historical records. These theories, while speculative, underscore the manuscript's uniqueness. It challenges traditional notions of language, writing, and knowledge representation. Efforts to decode the manuscript also involve crowdsourcing and collaborative research. Online communities of cryptographers, linguists, and amateur enthusiasts have contributed to transcriptions, data analysis, and pattern recognition. These global collaborations reflect a modern approach to mystery solving, leveraging diverse expertise and perspectives. Projects such as the European Voynich Alphabet (EVA) transcription system have standardized how the text is represented digitally, enabling consistent computational analysis and facilitating comparisons across studies. Crowdsourced initiatives have occasionally produced tantalizing hypotheses, though none has achieved consensus or verification. Artificial intelligence and machine learning have emerged as particularly promising tools. By training algorithms on large datasets of known languages and ciphers, researchers attempt to detect structural similarities, predict plausible meanings, or even suggest translations. Some AI analyses propose that the manuscript could contain a sophisticated encoding of herbal remedies, medical knowledge, or astrological guidance. While these claims remain controversial, they highlight how technology can offer insights that were previously impossible to achieve. The manuscript thus sits at the intersection of human ingenuity and technological power, a puzzle that invites both historical scholarship and modern computational creativity. Yet, the very success of modern analysis underscores the manuscript's enduring mystery. Each new tool or method, while revealing intriguing patterns and historical context, raises new questions. Why did the scribe choose this particular system? What knowledge, if any, was intended to be conveyed? Are the botanical and astronomical illustrations symbolic, literal, or deliberately misleading? The interplay between art, science, and astronomical and coded language suggests a work that was consciously designed to be enigmatic, possibly as a means of preserving knowledge for a select audience or protecting intellectual property in an era where esoteric knowledge was highly valued. One of the most compelling aspects of modern study is that it humanizes the manuscript's creation. Analysis of handwriting, spacing, and corrections suggests a meticulous scribe deeply engaged with their work. The labor involved in producing hundreds of vellum pages with careful illustrations, consistent symbols, and repeated motifs speaks to dedication and intention. This observation challenges theories that the manuscript is merely a hoax. It reflects a complex intellectual endeavor, a human story encoded in ink and parchment, bridging centuries of curiosity, secrecy, and wonder. Despite all these efforts, the Voynich manuscript remains in many ways a living mystery. It resists final interpretation, inviting continuous exploration and speculation. Its text, illustrations, and encoded knowledge endure as a testament to human creativity, curiosity, and the enduring allure of the unknown. Modern techniques have illuminated its historical context, probable origins, and physical composition, but the ultimate purpose of the manuscript and the meaning of its words remains tantalizingly elusive. The manuscript's resilience and continued fascination demonstrate a profound truth about human nature: our desire to uncover secrets, to understand the unknown, and to connect with those who lived centuries before us. Each attempt to decode the Voynich manuscript is both an intellectual pursuit and a meditation on the limits of knowledge. In a sense, the manuscript is a mirror reflecting our own curiosity, ingenuity, and enduring fascination with mysteries that refuse to be fully solved. Modern technology has expanded our tools, but it has not diminished the manuscript's mystique. If anything, it has reinforced the wonder and awe it inspires. Section 8. Linguistic Theories and Hidden Meanings. The Voynich manuscript, despite centuries of fascination, has consistently eluded straightforward interpretation, prompting researchers to explore a wide range of linguistic theories. Scholars, cryptographers, and computational linguists have proposed that the manuscript's text represents anything from a lost natural language to an elaborate constructed script, each theory shedding light on potential meanings and the cultural context in which it may have been produced. Unlike conventional manuscripts, the Voynich text exhibits consistent patterns, word repetitions, and plausible syntax, suggesting that it is not a random assembly of symbols, but rather an intentional form of communication, deliberately designed to be mysterious or encoded. One prevailing theory is that the manuscript represents a constructed language, or conlang, crafted either for private communication or as an intellectual exercise. Constructed languages, while rare in medieval Europe, are not entirely unprecedented. Scholars, alchemists, and religious sects occasionally devised unique scripts to transmit knowledge to select audiences. Linguistic analysis of the Voynich text shows recurring structures resembling roots, prefixes, and suffixes, which parallel features of natural languages. Such structure implies intentionality, suggesting the scribe was not merely writing nonsense, but was attempting to encode meaning according to specific rules. This theory accounts for both the coherence observed in word patterns and the manuscript's persistent resistance to conventional decryption. Another possibility is that the manuscript records a lost natural language, one that vanished from historical records due to migration, extinction, or cultural assimilation. This hypothesis gains some support from statistical analyses showing that the text's distribution of word frequencies mirrors natural linguistic phenomena. In natural languages, certain words and phrases repeat more frequently, sentence-like structures emerge, and patterns appear across texts, features reflected in the Voynich manuscript. If the text does represent a lost language, it provides a rare glimpse into a cultural and intellectual world that has otherwise disappeared, offering insights into medieval knowledge systems, linguistic diversity, and the ways communities preserved esoteric information. Some researchers posit that the manuscript could be a form of medical or botanical documentation, encoded to safeguard proprietary knowledge. The illustrations of plants, herbs, and human figures suggest that the manuscript contains practical or ceremonial knowledge about health, healing, or astrology. During the late medieval and early Renaissance periods, access to medical expertise was often restricted, with manuscripts serving as carefully guarded repositories of wisdom. Encoding knowledge in an obscure script would have provided a layer of protection, ensuring that only those initiated into the system could fully understand and utilize the information. This context aligns with the manuscript's meticulous construction and the labor-intensive effort evident in its illustrations and consistent text. Others explore the notion of alchemical or mystical symbolism embedded in the manuscript. Alchemy, astrology, and other esoteric practices were central to medieval European intellectual life, and practitioners often used symbolic, coded, or allegorical systems to describe processes that were considered sacred or secret. The Voynich Manuscript's combination of botanical drawings, zodiac symbols, and enigmatic diagrams supports the theory that it may function as a guide for mystical or ritualistic practices. Each plant, star, or symbol could represent metaphysical or philosophical concepts, rather than literal instructions, rendering the text deliberately opaque to outsiders while meaningful to initiated readers. Some linguistic analysts have also suggested that the manuscript could represent an early attempt at phonetic transcription, recording sounds rather than standard written forms of language. The repetitive structures and unusual combinations of characters might correspond to spoken syllables, vowels, or consonants. If true, this would suggest that the manuscript serves not just as a written document, but as a phonetic record of speech, perhaps of a regional dialect, ritual chants, or oral traditions. Such an approach would be consistent with the cultural context of the period, when oral transmission of knowledge often coexisted with written forms, and may explain why conventional deciphering methods struggle to yield coherent translations. Modern computational linguistics has added new dimensions to these theories. By analyzing the text's statistical properties, algorithms can identify correlations, predict likely syntactic structures, and compare sequences with known languages. Some studies suggest that sections of the text exhibit a modular organization, where distinct chapters contain specialized vocabulary, possibly corresponding to different subject matters such as herbal remedies, astronomical observations, or cosmological theories. This observation implies an overarching framework of knowledge rather than random decoration, hinting at the manuscript's potential as a carefully curated compendium of information. Cultural context is essential in understanding why the manuscript may have been written in such an obscure manner. The late medieval and early Renaissance periods were eras of intense intellectual curiosity, marked by the intersection of science, religion, art, and mysticism. Knowledge was power, and secrecy was often necessary to maintain social, economic, or political advantage. A manuscript that encoded practical, scientific, or mystical information in an indecipherable script would have been highly valuable, serving both as a repository of knowledge and as a status symbol for those who possessed it. The Voynich manuscript thus embodies a synthesis of intellectual, aesthetic, and social functions, bridging information, artistry, and human desire for understanding. One of the most compelling aspects of linguistic study is the evidence that the manuscript may operate under internal grammatical rules, unique to its author, but consistently applied across the entire work. Statistical modeling shows that sequences of characters recur in structured ways, suggesting a logic similar to grammar. These patterns are not merely ornamental. They imply that the manuscript's creator possessed a sophisticated understanding of language systems and deliberately constructed a consistent, if opaque, code. Such internal consistency distinguishes the Voynich manuscript from hoaxes or random scribbles, reinforcing its legitimacy as a serious intellectual creation. Finally, the potential for hidden meaning extends beyond words and illustrations to the manuscript's physical structure. Margins, line breaks, and page organization may encode additional layers of information, invisible to casual observation. Some researchers speculate that the manuscript could include embedded numerological or symbolic messages, creating a multidimensional system of meaning accessible only to those with sufficient knowledge of the conventions employed. This combination of linguistic, artistic, and structural complexity situates the Voynich manuscript as an extraordinary cultural artifact, reflecting the creative, intellectual, and secretive impulses of its time. Ultimately, the linguistic and symbolic theories surrounding the Voynich manuscript highlight the manuscript's enduring power to inspire curiosity, speculation, and wonder. While no theory has fully solved its mysteries, each new approach adds to a richer understanding of its possible purpose, context, and meaning. Whether it records a lost language, a secret body of knowledge, or a constructed system of mystical signs, the manuscript remains a remarkable testament to human ingenuity, creativity, and the eternal allure of the unknown. Section 9. Modern Scientific and Technological Approaches. As the centuries passed, the Voynich manuscript continued to baffle linguists, historians, and cryptographers alike. Its enigmatic script resisted all conventional methods of translation, and its illustrations offered tantalizing clues, but no definitive answers. In the modern era, with the advent of computers, statistical analysis, and advanced imaging technology, researchers have applied new scientific and technological approaches to understand the manuscript. These contemporary tools have not fully cracked its secrets, but they have provided unprecedented insights into its structure, authorship, and potential meaning. One of the first breakthroughs came from cryptography, a discipline that had evolved significantly since the manuscript's creation. During the 20th century, professional code breakers, including some who had worked on military ciphers during World War II, attempted to decipher the Voynich manuscript using the same techniques employed to break secret codes. They tested substitution ciphers, transposition codes, and polyalphabetic systems, considering the possibility that the text might represent a complex encryption of a natural language. Although these efforts did not yield a readable translation, they revealed patterns in the text that suggested internal consistency, disproving the idea that the manuscript was merely nonsense. This work reinforced the notion that the manuscript was a deliberately constructed system with a sophisticated logic behind it. The development of computational linguistics marked a new era in Voynich research. Algorithms can now analyze vast amounts of textual data to detect patterns, frequencies, and structural regularities invisible to human eyes. By applying statistical models, researchers have discovered that the manuscript exhibits properties similar to those of natural languages, including Zipfian distributions, recurring word clusters, and apparent grammatical structures. These findings suggest that the text is not random, but follows rules analogous to those governing spoken and written languages. Computational analysis also allows scholars to compare the Voynich text to known languages, exploring phonetic, syntactic, and semantic similarities, though no conclusive match has yet been found. Artificial intelligence and machine learning have further expanded the tools available to researchers. AI algorithms can generate hypotheses about word patterns, predict possible translations, and test structural models against large corpora of known languages. Some AI-driven studies have even attempted to decode sections of the manuscript by mapping sequences of characters to plausible syllables or words in European languages. While these results remain speculative, they illustrate the manuscript's potential to reward persistent, innovative approaches. The interplay between human intuition and computational power has opened new avenues of research, offering glimpses of patterns and structures that would have been impossible to detect through manual analysis alone. Advances in imaging technology have also contributed significantly to our understanding of the manuscript. High-resolution photography, ultraviolet and infrared imaging, and multispectral analysis have revealed subtle features invisible to the naked eye. For instance, ultraviolet imaging has exposed variations in ink composition, suggesting multiple stages of writing or revisions by different scribes. Multispectral analysis has helped identify pigments and materials used in illustrations, shedding light on the manuscript's origins and the techniques available to its creator. These methods do more than reveal the physical composition of the manuscript. They also hint at its intended use, the level of care invested in its creation, and the complexity of the knowledge it contains. Scientific approaches have also examined the manuscript's botanical and astronomical content. Experts in botany and medieval medicine have attempted to match the illustrated plants with real species, hoping to gain insight into the manuscript's purpose. While many plants appear fantastical or unidentifiable, some bear striking resemblance to herbs known in medieval Europe or the Mediterranean. Similarly, astronomers and historians have studied the manuscript's diagrams, including zodiacal symbols, star charts, and cosmological illustrations, to determine whether they correspond to known systems of astronomical knowledge. These investigations reveal that the manuscript was likely intended to convey specialized knowledge, whether practical, mystical, or symbolic, and that its creator possessed both artistic skill and intellectual ambition. The use of multidisciplinary collaboration has become a hallmark of modern Voynich research. Cryptographers, linguists, computer scientists, historians, botanists, and physicists now work together to approach the manuscript from multiple angles. This integrative approach recognizes that no single discipline can fully explain a text of such complexity. By combining expertise in historical context, linguistic theory, computational modeling, and visual analysis, researchers are gradually constructing a more nuanced understanding of the manuscript, even if its ultimate meaning remains elusive. Each study contributes a piece to the puzzle, revealing patterns, structures, or cultural references that deepen our appreciation of this enigmatic work. One of the most intriguing modern hypotheses suggests that the manuscript could be a sophisticated knowledge repository, encoding information in a deliberately multi-layered system. In this view, the text, illustrations, and physical structure of the manuscript function together as a multidimensional code. Botanical diagrams, cosmological charts, and textual sequences may carry complementary meanings, accessible only to those familiar with the conventions of medieval, scholarly, or mystical practice. Such a system would align with the intellectual culture of the time, when secrecy, allegory, and symbolic representation were integral to the transmission of knowledge. Finally, scientific approaches emphasize the importance of ongoing exploration rather than definitive solutions. The Voynich Manuscript continues to challenge conventional methods of understanding, illustrating the limits of our knowledge and the enduring allure of mystery. While computational analysis, cryptography, and imaging technologies have not yet produced a final translation, they have transformed the manuscript from a curiosity into a testbed for innovative thinking and cross-disciplinary collaboration. The manuscript's resilience as a mystery reflects not only the skill of its creator, but also the human fascination with the unknown, reminding us that some enigmas are as valuable for the questions they inspire as for the answers they may contain. In summary, modern scientific and technological approaches have brought the Voynich manuscript into a new era of study. Through cryptography, computational linguistics, AI, imaging technology, and multidisciplinary collaboration, researchers have gained deeper insight into the manuscript's structure, content, and possible purposes. While the text remains undeciphered, these methods demonstrate the profound complexity and sophistication of the work, and they ensure that the manuscript continues to captivate scholars and enthusiasts alike. The Voynich manuscript, once a mysterious artifact of the past, now serves as a bridge between history and contemporary science, offering a window into the intellectual world of its time and an enduring challenge for the human imagination. Section 10. Linguistic Theories and Cultural Context. Despite centuries of study, the Voynich manuscript remains a profound enigma, particularly when viewed through the lens of linguistics. Scholars have approached the manuscript as a language puzzle, attempting to uncover whether its text represents a real language, a constructed code, or an elaborate hoax. The linguistic theories surrounding the manuscript are diverse, reflecting both its complexity and its capacity to intrigue experts from multiple fields. By analyzing word patterns, syntax, and historical context, researchers have sought to situate the manuscript within the intellectual and cultural world of its creation, hoping to illuminate both its origin and its purpose. One prominent line of inquiry involves the study of structural patterns within the text. Statistical analysis has revealed that the manuscript exhibits characteristics remarkably similar to natural languages. Words tend to recur in consistent sequences, and certain characters appear with specific frequencies, suggesting an underlying grammar. These patterns have prompted some linguists to argue that the Voynich manuscript encodes a genuine, albeit unknown, language. Computational tools have allowed scholars to explore these structures in unprecedented detail, comparing them to a range of known languages, from Latin and Arabic to various medieval vernaculars. While no definitive match has emerged, the consistent patterns indicate that the text is not random and that the author likely had a deliberate linguistic system in mind. Some researchers propose that the manuscript might employ a constructed language, designed either for secrecy or for ceremonial purposes. Constructed languages are not unique to modern fiction. Historical examples exist in mystical, philosophical, and scholarly traditions. In this view, the manuscript could have been an esoteric text, intended for a select audience of initiated scholars or practitioners. Its peculiar vocabulary and symbols might have encoded medical knowledge, alchemical processes, or mystical insights, accessible only to those trained in the appropriate cultural and intellectual frameworks. This theory gains support from the manuscript's elaborate illustrations, which appear methodical yet fantastical, suggesting an integration of visual and linguistic systems that is consistent with ceremonial or pedagogical use. Another intriguing possibility is that the manuscript is written in a ciphered, natural language. Cryptographers have long suggested that the text may represent a complex substitution or transposition cipher, transforming ordinary words into the Voynich script. Unlike simple letter-for-letter ciphers, this system could encode information in layers, using symbols to represent sounds, syllables, or entire words. The combination of linguistic regularity and visual complexity makes this hypothesis plausible, although it has so far resisted definitive decoding. Modern cryptanalysis, including AI and computational methods, has brought new insights, but even these powerful tools have yet to produce a full translation, leaving open the tantalizing possibility of a secret code still waiting to be unlocked. The cultural and historical context of the manuscript further complicates its linguistic analysis. Carbon dating suggests that the manuscript originates from the early 15th century, a period rich with scholarly experimentation, cross-cultural exchange, and mystical inquiry. During this era, Europe was a melting pot of Latin scholarship, vernacular literature, and esoteric traditions. It was also a time when knowledge of astronomy, medicine, and herbalism was carefully guarded and often transmitted in symbolic or coded forms. In this context, the manuscript could be understood as a reflection of contemporary intellectual culture, blending practical knowledge with mystical or allegorical meaning. Its language, therefore, might not conform to modern linguistic expectations, existing instead as a hybrid system designed to encode both factual and symbolic information. Some linguistic scholars have explored the possibility that the text represents a phonetic transcription of a spoken language. This approach considers the idea that the unusual symbols correspond to sounds rather than written words, preserving the pronunciation of a language that may have been obscure or undocumented. By analyzing recurring patterns and potential syllable structures, researchers have attempted to reconstruct the phonetics of the manuscript. This hypothesis suggests that even if the words appear alien, they might encode intelligible speech, possibly capturing dialects, regional idioms, or forgotten languages of medieval Europe or the Near East. Such a system could explain both the internal consistency of the text and the difficulty of translating it using conventional linguistic methods. The manuscript's illustrations also provide contextual clues that inform linguistic interpretation. botanical drawings, cosmological diagrams, and anatomical sketches appear to correlate with specific sections of text, implying that the language and imagery are interdependent. Linguists studying these correlations hypothesize that the text may function as a technical or scientific register, describing plants, celestial phenomena, or physiological concepts in a coded or symbolic manner. This aligns with historical practices in which scholars deliberately obscured specialized knowledge, using esoteric language to maintain control over intellectual property or to ensure that only trained individuals could comprehend complex subjects. Furthermore, the manuscript has been examined as a potential product of cross-cultural exchange. The 15th century was a period of significant interaction between European, Middle Eastern, and Asian intellectual traditions. Elements of the text and illustrations suggest familiarity with classical Greek, Arabic, and European medical knowledge, alongside cosmological systems drawn from astrology and alchemy. Linguists have therefore considered whether the manuscript might encode a hybrid language, synthesizing multiple traditions into a single cohesive system. If true, this would make the Voynich Manuscript not only a linguistic puzzle, but also a cultural artifact, capturing the synthesis of knowledge and belief in a uniquely intricate form. Despite centuries of scholarly effort, the linguistic identity of the Voynich manuscript remains unresolved. It challenges assumptions about language, code, and communication, resisting conventional approaches while inspiring innovative methods of analysis. Each hypothesis, whether it involves a natural language, a cipher, a constructed language, or a phonetic system, offers tantalizing possibilities, yet none has produced a definitive solution. The manuscript's enduring mystery reflects the intellectual ambition of its creator and the enduring human fascination with hidden knowledge, illustrating how language can serve both as a tool for understanding and a barrier to comprehension. In conclusion, the linguistic theories surrounding the Voynich manuscript highlight its complexity and its place within the intellectual and cultural world of its time. By analyzing structural patterns, exploring constructed or ciphered languages, and considering historical context, researchers gain valuable insights into the manuscript's potential meaning and purpose. Although the text remains unreadable in a conventional sense, its linguistic intricacies continue to captivate scholars and enthusiasts alike. The manuscript stands as a testament to human creativity, bridging the gap between history, language, and mystery, and reminding us that some secrets are as compelling for the questions they raise as for the answers they may contain. Section 11. Modern efforts to decode the Voynich manuscript. In the modern era, the Voynich manuscript has captured the attention of not only linguists and historians, but also cryptographers, mathematicians, and computer scientists. What was once the domain of a small circle of rare book scholars has grown into a global phenomenon, with countless enthusiasts attempting to unlock its secrets. Despite the remarkable advances in technology and the computational power available today, the manuscript remains undeciphered, standing as one of the most puzzling documents in human history. Modern approaches combine historical scholarship with cutting-edge computational techniques, revealing both the depth of the mystery and the ingenuity of those determined to solve it. One of the most notable modern approaches involves computerized statistical analysis. Researchers have applied algorithms used in natural language processing to the manuscript's text, analyzing patterns of word frequency, character sequences, and repetition. Remarkably, these studies confirm earlier findings. The text exhibits properties typical of natural languages, such as Zipf's law, a principle stating that the frequency of a word is inversely proportional to its rank in a frequency table. Yet, no algorithm has successfully translated or deciphered the manuscript. Some scholars speculate that it may encode a constructed language, or perhaps a language whose spoken form has long since disappeared, making computational analysis inherently limited. Nevertheless, these tools provide unprecedented insight into the structure of the text, offering a foundation for more refined hypotheses. Cryptographers have also approached the Voynich Manuscript with a code-breaking mindset. Historical ciphers, such as substitution and transposition ciphers, were widely used during the medieval and Renaissance periods. Some researchers suggest that the manuscript may represent an exceptionally sophisticated cipher, possibly one designed to be impossible to crack without a key. Attempts to decode it have ranged from simple frequency analysis to complex machine learning techniques capable of pattern recognition beyond human perception. Notably, during World War II, some intelligence agencies, including the U.S. Army and British codebreakers, investigated the manuscript for potential hidden military or alchemical knowledge, though no breakthroughs were achieved. Today, enthusiasts continue to experiment with cipher models, trying to reconcile the manuscript's regular linguistic patterns with the possibility of deliberate obfuscation. Interdisciplinary collaboration has become increasingly important in modern efforts. Linguists, historians, cryptographers, and data scientists now work together, recognizing that understanding the manuscript may require multiple perspectives. For example, some teams focus on historical context, investigating the manuscript's botanical and astronomical illustrations to match them with contemporary knowledge systems. Others apply AI to detect correlations between images and text, testing whether the manuscript is a form of pictorial notation rather than a conventional written language. This holistic approach acknowledges that the Voynich manuscript may have been designed to operate on several levels simultaneously, blending visual symbolism with linguistic encoding, a dual structure that could confound a purely textual analysis. The manuscript has also inspired crowdsourced analysis. Digital scans of the text have been made publicly available, allowing amateur enthusiasts and professional researchers alike to contribute their ideas. Online platforms host forums where participants propose decoding theories, compare transcription schemes, and test hypotheses using computational tools. This democratization of research reflects both the manuscript's universal fascination and the modern belief that collective intelligence might achieve what individual scholars cannot. Despite these collaborative efforts, the manuscript resists interpretation, suggesting either that it is an ingenious cipher or perhaps a deliberate intellectual exercise designed to confound its readers indefinitely. Another intriguing line of research involves the study of linguistic anomalies. Scholars have noted peculiarities in word formation and character combinations that defy expectations of known languages. For example, certain words appear almost exclusively at the beginnings of lines, while others cluster in specific sections. Some researchers interpret this as evidence of a constructed language, possibly influenced by medieval mystical or esoteric traditions. Others propose that these anomalies may serve as semantic markers, guiding the reader's interpretation of illustrations or indicating sections with differing functions, such as botanical descriptions versus astronomical guidance. Modern computational models allow researchers to visualize these patterns, highlighting clusters and recurring sequences in ways that were impossible just a few decades ago. The Voynich Manuscript has also been examined in light of cultural anthropology. Scholars ask whether the manuscript reflects broader intellectual currents, such as alchemy, astrology, and medicinal herbalism, prevalent in medieval Europe. By understanding the cultural context, researchers hope to constrain the set of possible languages or codes, narrowing the search for meaning. This approach emphasizes that the manuscript is not merely a linguistic puzzle, but a product of human society, embodying the knowledge, beliefs, and intellectual creativity of its time. Modern attempts to decode it thus combine technology with historical insight, blending quantitative and qualitative methods to explore the text's multidimensional character. In recent years, some have proposed that the manuscript may be a proto-scientific notebook, an early attempt at systematically documenting botanical, astronomical, and medical knowledge in symbolic form. In this view, the text's resistance to translation is not a failure, but an indication of a sophisticated organizational method, encoding information in ways that prefigure later scientific notation. Advanced imaging techniques, such as multispectral photography, have revealed hidden details in the ink and parchment, including corrections, layering, and possibly annotations. These discoveries suggest that the manuscript was actively used and carefully constructed, reinforcing the idea that it was intended to convey knowledge, albeit in an unconventional and highly encoded manner. Despite these exhaustive efforts, the Voynich manuscript continues to resist interpretation, maintaining its aura of mystery. Its endurance highlights the interplay between human curiosity and the limits of knowledge, demonstrating how a single object can inspire centuries of inquiry across multiple disciplines. Each modern attempt to decode the manuscript, whether through statistical analysis, cryptography, interdisciplinary study, or crowdsourcing, underscores both the ingenuity of its creator and the intellectual challenge it poses. The manuscript stands as a reminder that some questions are as valuable as the answers they seek, inviting generations of scholars to explore the boundary between language, symbol, and meaning. Ultimately, modern efforts to decode the Voynich manuscript reflect a convergence of history, linguistics, technology, and human imagination. While no definitive translation has emerged, the manuscript continues to inform contemporary understanding of medieval knowledge, coding practices, and symbolic expression. Every new attempt, whether a sophisticated algorithm, a cryptographic analysis, or a historical comparison, adds to the collective understanding of what makes this book so extraordinary. The manuscript remains a bridge across centuries, connecting modern readers to a past that is both intellectually rich and tantalizingly elusive, inviting reflection on the complexity of human communication and the enduring allure of mystery. Section 12. Theories about the purpose of the Voynich Manuscript. As scholars, cryptographers, and enthusiasts delve deeper into the Voynich Manuscript, one of the most compelling questions remains: why was it created in the first place? Beyond the mystery of its text and illustrations lies a broader enigma regarding its purpose. The manuscript's design, its meticulous organization, and the seeming intentionality behind its strange symbols and drawings suggest it was far more than a casual diary or ornamental codex. Exploring its potential purposes allows us to consider the manuscript not merely as a puzzle to decode, but as a window into the minds, culture, and intellectual ambitions of its unknown creator. One of the earliest and most popular theories is that the Voynich manuscript was intended as a medical or herbal manual. Many of the manuscript's illustrations depict plants, some of which resemble real botanical species, while others appear fantastical. The detailed depictions of roots, leaves, and flowers, alongside diagrams of water flow or sun patterns, suggest the manuscript might have served as a guide to herbal medicine or alchemical preparation. However, the text accompanying these illustrations remains unreadable, making it difficult to determine whether the manuscript contained practical knowledge or was a symbolic, almost ritualistic representation of nature. Some researchers hypothesize that it may have been a reference work for a practitioner of medieval medicine or herbalism, designed to record remedies, dosages, and plant properties for personal use or to pass down secret knowledge. Another enduring hypothesis proposes that the manuscript was a magical or esoteric text. The Voynich manuscript's mixture of plants, astrological symbols, and enigmatic figures has led some to suggest it was intended as a book of spells, charms, or mystical guidance. Astrology, numerology, and alchemy were closely linked in the medieval worldview, and manuscripts of this kind often served multiple purposes: instructive, protective, and even performative. In this context, the obscure script might not have been intended to be easily read. Instead, it could have acted as a barrier, ensuring that only initiates with the proper training or insight could understand its meaning. The manuscript may have functioned as a private tool for a scholar or mystic, combining empirical observation with spiritual or symbolic interpretation in a single complex artifact. Some scholars speculate that the manuscript was created as a cryptographic exercise or intellectual challenge. Its text, which exhibits linguistic properties resembling natural language, yet defies conventional understanding, could represent a sophisticated cipher or invented language. This raises the possibility that the manuscript was never intended for widespread dissemination. Instead, it might have been a demonstration of intellectual prowess, a test of the reader's analytical skills, or even a form of intellectual play. In this light, the manuscript becomes not just a repository of knowledge, but a carefully constructed puzzle designed to confound, intrigue, and stimulate curiosity across generations. The manuscript has also been considered a compendium of knowledge for a secret society or elite group. During the medieval and Renaissance periods, learned circles often maintained private libraries filled with rare and obscure texts. Some historians propose that the Voynich Manuscript was created for a small, highly educated audience, perhaps members of an alchemical guild, an early scientific community, or a courtly circle of scholars. The secrecy implied by its undeciphered text and complex illustrations might reflect a cultural milieu in which knowledge was power and esoteric understanding was deliberately restricted to preserve authority, social hierarchy, or personal advantage. A more unconventional theory posits that the manuscript was an elaborate hoax or artistic creation. In this interpretation, the text and illustrations were intentionally designed to appear meaningful and complex without actually conveying coherent information. Proponents of this view cite the manuscript's persistent resistance to decryption, suggesting that it might have been created to impress, mystify, or amuse patrons, perhaps as a commissioned work for a wealthy collector eager for novelty. While this theory challenges the idea of practical purpose, it highlights the possibility that human creativity, imagination, and the desire to provoke wonder played a central role in the manuscript's existence. Some modern researchers combine elements of multiple theories, proposing that the manuscript served as a multi-layered instructional tool. Its structure, with repeated motifs, numbered sections, and consistent illustration patterns, hints at intentional organization. Some scholars suggest that it may have been used for meditation, teaching, or private reflection, integrating botanical knowledge, astrological guidance, and symbolic imagery into a unified system. In this scenario, the unreadable text might serve both a protective function, restricting access to the initiated, and a cognitive one, encouraging visual and symbolic engagement with the material rather than linear reading. Technological advances in recent decades have also influenced theories about the manuscript's purpose. High-resolution imaging, multispectral analysis, and digital modeling have revealed details previously invisible, such as subtle corrections, overlapping symbols, and variations in ink and parchment preparation. These discoveries suggest a painstakingly crafted document created over an extended period, likely with careful attention to both form and content. This level of precision implies that the manuscript's creator had a deliberate goal, whether practical, symbolic, pedagogical, or intellectual, reinforcing the notion that it was more than a mere artistic curiosity. Finally, the cultural and historical context of the Voynich manuscript cannot be ignored in speculating about its purpose. Produced during a period of intense intellectual exploration and cross-cultural exchange, it likely reflects contemporary interests in science, mysticism, and human understanding. The Renaissance and late medieval periods saw the rise of encyclopedic endeavors, experimentation with language, and the proliferation of coded knowledge. The Voynich manuscript may therefore embody the spirit of an age that valued secrecy, learning, and the intertwining of observation, theory, and imagination. Whether it was a practical manual, a cryptographic challenge, a spiritual guide, or an artistic experiment, the manuscript stands as a testament to human ingenuity and the enduring allure of mystery. In sum, the Voynich manuscript's purpose remains elusive, yet the diversity of theories underscores its richness as a cultural artifact. It could simultaneously represent medicine, magic, intellectual play, social secrecy, and artistic creation, defying categorization and challenging our understanding of medieval thought. Modern attempts to decode it often illuminate as much about contemporary curiosity and technological capacity as they do about the manuscript itself. Its enduring mystery invites reflection on the nature of knowledge, the limits of comprehension, and the human desire to explore, understand, and preserve information in forms both tangible and enigmatic. The manuscript continues to inspire wonder, debate, and scholarly inquiry, reminding us that some creations transcend their own age. By considering the Voynich manuscript's possible purposes, we glimpse a work that is at once functional, symbolic, and deeply human, revealing the complexities of thought, culture, and imagination from centuries past. Section 13: Legacy, Influence, and the Enduring Mystery of the Voynich Manuscript. The Voynich Manuscript stands today not only as a historical artifact, but as a symbol of enduring mystery, curiosity, and the intersection of human creativity with the unknown. Its legacy stretches far beyond the pages of vellum and ink, capturing the imagination of cryptographers, historians, linguists, artists, and enthusiasts around the world. Its influence has permeated literature, art, popular culture, and even the modern study of cryptography, emphasizing that some creations retain a timeless resonance independent of their original purpose. The manuscript has inspired countless efforts to decode, analyze, and contextualize its contents. Over the past century, teams of professional cryptographers, including those trained during the World Wars, have attempted to crack its code using every method available at the time, from classical ciphers to modern computer-assisted analysis. While many researchers have claimed partial breakthroughs, no interpretation has gained universal acceptance. This ongoing engagement illustrates the manuscript's capacity to provoke thought and challenge assumptions, functioning simultaneously as a puzzle and a mirror of the human desire to understand the enigmatic. Beyond decoding, the Voynich manuscript has influenced artistic and literary worlds. Its bizarre plants, astrological charts, and whimsical human figures have inspired illustrations, novels, and conceptual art that embrace ambiguity rather than resolution. Artists have drawn on the manuscript's unique aesthetic to create works that echo its intricate, dreamlike quality, blending reality and imagination. Writers have used it as a plot device in historical fiction and speculative narratives, exploring themes of secrecy, forbidden knowledge, and human obsession. In these ways, the manuscript's impact transcends historical scholarship, offering a creative wellspring for expression across disciplines. Academic and technological advances, continue to redefine the ways in which the manuscript can be studied. Modern imaging techniques, such as multispectral photography, have revealed hidden details in the ink, parchment, and illustrations, while computational analyses have attempted to detect patterns, linguistic structures, and repetitions that might suggest meaning. These efforts have shown that the manuscript exhibits statistical properties similar to natural languages, yet its contents remain frustratingly resistant to interpretation. The tension between apparent order and persistent incomprehensibility fuels ongoing fascination as researchers confront the limits of both technology and human intuition. Another aspect of the manuscript's legacy is its demonstration of how human curiosity can persist over centuries. Each generation of scholars and enthusiasts has approached it with the tools and knowledge available at the time, revealing as much about the observers as the object itself. The manuscript invites a contemplative reflection on the nature of knowledge, reminding us that information can exist in forms that challenge comprehension, and that mystery itself can have value, inspiring learning, creativity, and collaboration across disciplines. Its enigmatic charm has also made the Voynich Manuscript a central figure in the study of cryptography and linguistic analysis. For codebreakers and computer scientists, it represents a benchmark challenge, the perfect puzzle that encourages the refinement of techniques and the exploration of new methods for pattern recognition and code breaking. Even without a definitive solution, the manuscript has contributed to the advancement of analytical tools, proving that the journey of inquiry can be as illuminating as the destination. The manuscript's history also reflects the story of human collection, preservation, and curiosity, passed through private collections and eventually acquired by the Voynich Rare Book and Manuscript Library at Yale University. It has been meticulously preserved, ensuring that future generations can continue to explore and speculate. Its survival is a testament not only to the quality of its materials, but also to the enduring interest and dedication of those who recognized its significance. Each time the manuscript is studied, photographed, or digitized, it enters a new cultural and scholarly conversation, continually renewing its relevance. Finally, the Voynich Manuscript embodies the idea that mystery itself can be a form of beauty. Its unfathomable script, strange plants, and peculiar figures compel us to accept ambiguity, to revel in curiosity, and to appreciate the limits of knowledge. In a world increasingly defined by data, certainty, and immediacy, the manuscript offers a rare opportunity to embrace wonder, contemplation, and the acknowledgement that some things, deliberately or otherwise, resist complete understanding. It invites us to dwell in the unknown, to ask questions, and to imagine possibilities beyond conventional comprehension. As we reflect on the Voynich manuscript today, we can appreciate it as a bridge between centuries, connecting the intellect and imagination of its mysterious creator with the modern world's unceasing drive to decode, understand, and create. Its pages, though inscrutable, speak to human curiosity, persistence, and the joy of discovery. In embracing both the known and the unknowable, the manuscript continues to teach us about our desire to explore, our appreciation for art and craft, and our fascination with the profound mysteries that lie beyond the reach of certainty.